Namaskar, all of you. We are uh, commencing this session with a new topic. We concluded last time uh, the topic of academics of our times and ancient times and perhaps during Patanjali's times. So that was a kind of more of a kind of information. Now we are proceeding to a new topic. The new topic is like this. In spiritual world, in Adhyatma, there are these concepts of self-realization, God realization, and these are very important aspects in what we call as spiritualism or spirituality or Adhyatma or Paramartha. Of course, these are all not synonyms. You should be aware of it. So, when it comes to self-realization, we can easily understand that the self is within ourselves. So, this is an exploration within ourselves. We need to go inwardly. We must have infaceedness, inwardliness to be going selfwards, because we very well know that our self is not hanging somewhere outside us. It is embedded within us. And therefore we understand that self-realization is an inwardly journey. But with regards to God realization, that is not necessarily the condition in various theistic cults which exist in the world. Because the God is a transcendent entity, many of the theistic cults, the God is outside us. And then God being all pervasive, it happens to be also within us. So, seeking God, seeking Ishvara, seeking Brahma, seeking Paramatma, it might be felt, and it did feel like that to many of the religious cults, that the God must be searched outside. Because most of the God is outside us. A particle of it, a fragment of it is within us. But the fact of the matter is that God realization, self-realization, spiritual realization, this is not outside. Even the God realization has to be inside. Despite the fact the God is everywhere, being omnipresent. So the God is also outside us. So we can be thinking that we can go in search of God with an outward journey. Go outside and try to explore God, realize God, experience God. But in our thought system, all our thought systems, we have countless systems of philosophy and religion, cults. The God always has to be sought inwards, searched inwards, discovered inwards, explored inwards, experienced inwards. So, all these spiritual experiences, from self-realization to God realization, are by internal journey, inward journey, internalizing processes. And after having realized outside, the God who is all pervasive, the God also will be experienced outside. But first of all, the God must be experienced within. And With that, Adhyatma and yoga particularly, is an inwardly practice to facilitate Adhyatmic exploration, Adhyatmic process. Because all that those realities are realized inside. Ultimate reality is also realized inside, and then the ultimate reality outside is realized. Not having realized the ultimate reality within, there is no process of realizing ultimate reality outside. Sarvam khalvidam brahma, Vasudevam idam sarvam, Vishnumayam idam jagate. Or all this is God pervaded. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. All this is pervaded by Isha, by Ishvara, by divinity. However, we cannot set ourselves outside to go in search of it. Therefore, I recall Ramdas Swami Samartha Ramdas, in his Das Bodh, in one of his chapters, describing the seeker, the a spiritually curious person to seeker. He there in that chapter says that the ultimate realities, the self, the divinity, the God must be realized inside. It's all inwardly journey. That's the primary meaning of Adhyatma. Adhyatma is to go inwardly and have searches inwardly. Adhyatma doesn't have searches externally and outwardly. So the searches are inwardly. With that view in mind, let's try to understand now what is this human being. That means we need to go outside from the outer layers of our embodiment. We need to penetrate into the inner layers of embodiment. That's why you are familiar with the concept of koshas, Annamaya, and then Pranamaya, then Manomaya, then Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya. So, in human embodiment, we need to have an inward journey. So, with that perspective, let me tell you here that our concept of body is the anatomy. And if you have to study body, understand body, explore body, discover body, understand, comprehend body, we would open the books of anatomy and physiology. But then, that's how empirical sciences, worldly sciences, modern sciences will try to have view of the body, and they will try to analyze it, they will try to have perceptions, explorations, etc. So that's why they have a branch called anatomy physiology. But in philosophy, there is altogether a different study of this body. The concept of body, therefore, is divided into two aspects. One is called exoteric anatomy, and the other one is called esoteric anatomy. Even with regards to physiology, there is something called as exoteric physiology and esoteric physiology. Exoteric anatomy and physiology is that which you get to read in the books of science, which are studied in the medical realm, where they study the body. So the Adhyatma has a different view of human body. It has different perspective rather. And it is additional perspective. It's not that they disbelieve in the anatomy physiology, because that is also mentioned in Ayurveda, Sharira Vijnana. So it is not that it is set aside. But then there is another perspective taken to understand this human body for spiritual purpose. How this can be an instrument for adhyatmic endeavor, spiritual process, because the body that is understood through exoteric anatomy and physiology in the books of medical realm will give no clue to use the same body, understand the same body as a fit instrument vehicle for spiritual pursuit. So that is why that dimension of this human body is not considered in medical science, because medical science just want to consider the health and any ill health for which they will try to give you some remedies, give solutions to the problems to the body that occurs, whereby it doesn't function well for worldly realm, mundane realm. So about the human body, another interesting thing to be noted is that the human body doesn't change generation after generation after generation and in various ethnicities. The anatomy is not different for occidental region of the globe and oriental region of the globe. Whether you are Indian or American or Chinese or Japanese or Australian or British or French or Italian, Japanese anatomy is same. So there is something very much common to all human bodies in this generation and in previous generations. So the human body has been the same. The shape of it, the form of it, the limbs of it, the organs of it don't change time to time, region to region, ethnicity to ethnicity. So understand this aspect of the body, which is almost common and which can be seen as quite identical with respect to anatomy physiology. It doesn't change between an Indian and American. Anatomy physiology of Indian, American, Indian and Japanese and Japanese and Chinese and Australians won't change. So globally it is almost, that's an identical aspect which can be seen. But with regards to human mind, that is not the case. You can see a greater amount of identicality, similarity between two bodies of different ethnicities or different generations or different times or different space. It won't change. But with regards to mind, that is human mind, that is not true. And therefore the science of mind, which is psychology today, has some shortcomings, has some flaws. They generalize about the mind so much, like it can be proper to generalize in case of body. So as far as the shape, form, anatomy of body is concerned, the 2 people or 10 people will be identical, but with regards to mind, the 2 people or 10 people will not be that much identical. So with regards to mind, there is big difference. That is why, that is one of the reasons why in Indian tradition and heritage, we don't have anything called as Manasa Vidya. There are 64 Vidyas mentioned, and there are more number of Vidyas than that even, of the the Indian uh, thought system. So you will not find Manasa Shastra. There will be Sharira Shastra to Devata Shastra to Vedanta Shastra to Sankhya Shastra to Veda Shastra. So many Shastras are there. But there is no Manasa Shastra. Because the Manasa Shastra, psychology, is subject matter of those who go in search of reality, the philosophers. So each philosophical system has aspect of psychology. It is integral to philosophy. Psychology is integral to philosophy. Whereas if you take the modern view, the philosophy and psychology have no relationship. They are not even cousins. They are not even distant cousins. A psychologist can totally disregard philosophy, a philosopher can disregard psychology. We don't see any link, connection between philosophy and psychology. But that's not the case in Eastern culture, Oriental culture, and Indian culture. Psychology is very much integral to philosophy. Root of the body matter is something material. Like if you go to ultimate cause of human body, you will go to sperm cell and ovum cell. So that's again something very physical. Sperm cell and ovum cell is physical. But what about the mind? The human mind has origin not in sperm cell and ovum cell. All the human body has origin there, not the human mind. And that is why human mind needs a greater inquiry, exploration and discovery. And therefore the philosophers who were looking at the reality in the world or in the universe, they have a branch called ontology, which tries to understand ultimate reality behind everything, the primordial condition of everything. And therefore, the source of mind is ontology. You don't have to trace the source of human body into ontology, although it is there from the perspective of metaphysics. However, we don't have to go that deep for finding its roots. We will stop at the sperm cell and ovum cell union for body, but the mind has origin somewhere else. And therefore psychology is not a subject matter, or subject rather, in Oriental thought process. It has been integrated in philosophy. So this human body, human mind changes enormously between a brute and saint. You certainly see the change in mind, difference in mind, contrast in mind, but you don't see that in body. Anatomy of a saint and anatomy of a brute will not differ. Physiology of saint and physiology of brute will not differ. However, the mind differs enormously. So this is a marvel that is cited by student of philosophy. There is no similarity between the mind of a saint and mind of a brute. There can be dissimilarity, there can be contrariety. Like the philosophical texts say, what is day for a man is night for a yogi, of course figuratively. What is night for man is a day for a yogi. The verse comes in Bhagavad Gita to this effect. That means what is good for brute is absolutely bad for saint, and what is absolutely bad for brute is absolutely good for saint. Such a contrariety is there. So, what are do's to saints are don'ts to brutes. What are do's to brute are don'ts to saints. So, their mindsets are almost diametrically opposite. There is certainly a difference, and not only just a difference, there is contrariety. So, this is a marvel. That the minds can be changing. You will not find any two minds similar. Not only one generation of people, but even if you consider all generations of human beings, your mind has no similar mind anywhere in the world in this time, nor it was in a retrospective time going back to time without beginning. So no one ever has been like you. No one is like you. No one ever will be like you. You and me are just mind in the mind dimension just once, never before and never after. So the mind is never repeated. The mind structure is never repeated. Mind structure doesn't have similarity. If there are similarities, they are only in the peripheral mind, which is subject matter of psychology. Like you will have fear, where perhaps everyone will have fear. Where you have delusion, perhaps every other human being will have delusion. So this is about the peripheral surface mind, that there might be similarity. But that is only in the surface mind. Mind has ocean depths. And then, therefore, you will say, you will come across this fact and reality that no two minds are identical. You can't have identical mind to what you have now currently, nor retrospectively in the past and prospectively in the future. You are having this mind only for this particular incarnation. Never ever there was identical mind before. Never ever there will be identical mind hereafter. So that's the beauty of this creator, of the universe who created human beings. No repetition. Never ever any identicality. Such a diversity in human minds. So this is also an aspect to be understood. Now, as I just now said that the philosophy and particularly Yoga Shastra tries to identify that aspect of our body which is suitable for spiritual pursuit. And of course, the body sciences such as Ayurveda or anatomy and physiology of the modern world, they study the body, which is common, which will be common in generation after generation, generation before generations. So they are considering that common factor, common dimension of the human body, which is there, the anatomy, physiology, etc., which doesn't change between person of our times and people of earlier times, and people of our times and people of prospective times. The anatomy is not changing, as I just now told you, from place to place, region to region, time to time. it has been same. Anatomy is same and will be same. Where the liver is, the liver has been there in all generations, and liver will be there hereafter in all generations. Wherever there is a heart, where is the coronary heart, it has been there for all the generations before and will be there for all generations hereafter. The way the heart functions today is the way the heart was functioning in all previous generations and will be the way it will be functioning hereafter. How the liver, stomach, colon, bladder, spleen, pancreas work today and how they worked from time without beginning, it has been the same and it will continue to function the same way hereafter also. So such static aspect of body is taken for study in Sharira Vignana or anatomy and physiology. Let me give you some perhaps fascinating information here. Say for example the stomach. It is an important organ of the digestive system. Or say for example lung, which is important organ of respiratory system. And therefore we put a tag on them. This is digestive organ, this is a mental organ, etc. etc. This is a respiratory organ. So we put a tag on them, and a layman doesn't understand, although today's generation might understand and does understand to some extent, doesn't understand how it is related to mind. The book of anatomy will never tell you that liver is mental organ, stomach is mental organ, intestines are mental organ, colons are mental organ, lungs also mental organ, heart mental organ. So the relationship between any organ of body and any organ of the mind is not related to the mind. Of course, organs of mind are related to mind, but with the same equalness, organs of body are not related to mind. Whereas in yoga, this dimension is explored. That whether it is body, organ of body, or organ of mind, they are related to mind. So in yoga we realize that. Rather than putting a tag that stomach or liver is only a digestive organ, or spleen and pancreas, they are just digestive organs. And then cortices, cerebral parts are mental organs. So these are, we have put a tag. But yoga says that they are all mind organs. Be that organ of respiratory system or circulatory system or digestive system or excretory system, endocrine system, any system of the body, circulatory system, it is related to mind. And we as a layman can understand this, that suppose you have anemic condition, anemia, the mind is certainly impacted. We can definitely see that how there are repercussions of that, any imbalance, whereby you have in the physiology, whereby you have anemic condition, any anemia, it is reflected on the mind. The mind is never at peace for one who is having anemia or attack of anemic condition. That we understand very well. So, in yoga it is understood that whole body is closely connected to mind and mind aspects. So this is fascinating aspect, that say organs such as stomach, it is also a mental organ. It plays a role as a mental organ differently than its role as digestive organ. Liver, yes, liver is digestive organ, but its role in mind or for the mind is totally different. There is a concept in Ayurveda, Vata Pitta Kapha, which is not only for the body that Vata Pitta Kapha is referred to. These are the keels of the body: bile, flame, and the gas. So usually it is referred to body, but that's not the case. Vata, Pitta, Kapha are also in mind. So the mental behavior under the imbalance of Vata will be also a typical imbalance of bile in the mind. The mental functioning will be typical. Imbalance of Vayu, Vata in the mind, also it will typically work in the mind. So Vata Pitta Kapha also permeate the mind, and therefore the mind would function differently. So the body as organ of mind, or body organs as also organs of mind, is an important consideration in yoga. Now see, in neo-spirituality, it is thought that spirituality is all in the mind. The spirituality is only in the mind, thought process, cerebral processes, your thinking. And in Neo Adhyatma, body is not related to that at all. Therefore, in Neo Spiritualism, you will say it is only something like drawing room talks. And it's all above the throat. It's all brain, mind, thought for spiritual process. They don't involve the toe of the foot for spiritual process. They think it is unrelated. They don't consider the foot having any contribution for spiritual process. They think it is all cerebral. So neo-spiritualism is all very, very cerebral process. The thinking process, the thought process, the thought pattern, the thought content, etc., etc. So it's all in thinking, in neo-adhyatma, neo-spirituality. But in classical spirituality, that's not the case. So, in a way, the body is a grosser mind. The body is a grosser mind. Now, this might be a little abstract thought process for you. So, before going to this, to abstract thought process, let us try to understand even this gross body of elements, body of matter, is a marvel by itself. Let's try to see how awe-inspiring is this body. This is, of course, information that you will get in body science of the modern times as well. They will tell you about all this, but the common man has neglected. He overlooks. Particularly the man engaged in a worldly activity, economic activity, business activity of life. They don't have any thought, they don't think any thought is worthy about the body. If the body is going wrong, they will consult a physician, they will go to a physician. They will not have a slightest thought on this embodiment. They will not try to understand what this body is, how awe-inspiring is this body. So let's have little awe-inspiring information here to just understand how this body is a wonder. Because then for spiritual process, we will have to explore greater wonder in this body. See, compared to an ant, human being is almost a huge, giant, gigantic kind of giant. Compare human body next to body of an ant. Human body has something they describe as 650 muscles, 100 odd joints, 60,000 miles of circulatory network, and about 13,000 million nerve cells. 13,000 to about 15,000 million. Human bone is said to be harder than granite. We won't believe because often our bones are fractured, broken, but they are stronger than granite. They break because of their dimension, their size, and impact that they receive. Because even granite can be broken with a strong impact on it. But it is said that the human bones are stronger than even granite stone. And its weight bearing capacity is also awe inspiring and enormous. It is more than that of a granite stone. Now, common man in his common man's thinking process will never believe this and cannot be believing. It will be absurd statement. But that's the fact. That's the fact. That the load bearing capacity of the bone is much more than that of a granite stone. See, in a bone of the size of matchbox, of the dimension of a matchbox, it can sustain, believe it, 6 tons. Now this information is all from modern sciences. It is not, I am not bringing it from the lore, so you can just disbelieve it. Because today's man will disbelieve everything that is said in ancient Shastras and Puranas and ancient wisdom. They will nod their heads easily for something that is said by modern science. And this is the information that comes in modern science. So it can, a bone of the size of dimension of a matchbox can hold on 6 tons of weight. This is 4 times than that of concrete, cement concrete. Cement concrete cannot take such load which human bone takes. So see the marvel. These are just informations that we get from modern sciences. The ant might think that human being is a huge gigantic demon or a giant. But see the fact the other way around. Ant can lift weight 200 times of its weight. The ant can lift weight that is 200 times its weight. Now compare human being. Can human being lift even weight equal to his weight? And where is 200 times of an ant? It can eat 200-300 times the food of its weight. Whatever is the weight of ant, it will eat 200-300 times its weight. And it will carry the food or anything that is 200 times its weight and climb up a vertical trunk of a tree. So see the weight carrying, it's almost what a wrestler cannot do, a weightlifter cannot do. It does it. It carries 200 times its weight and climbs up vertical trunk of a tree. So see the marvel when the life principle is there in something. Because there is life principle in an ant, there is life principle in a man. So let's try to understand even in an ant, when the life principle is there, how marvelous creature it becomes. It can climb up 40-50 feet without problem, carrying 200 times its weight in its mouth, because it doesn't carry on the back. It carries whatever weight in its mouth. Um, Coming to another marvel in the biological world is elephant. Elephant will eat about 300 to 350 kilos of food every day. Elephant will eat 300 to 350 kilos of food, and it's a vegetable animal. So leaves, plants, trunks, etc., what it eats. It would be about 300 kilos, 300 to 350 kilos. And it has to do that to maintain its weight, which is around 1000 to 1500 kilos. Elephant weighs that much. Elephant can take 450 liters of water in its belly. Imagine the dimension of 450 liters, the weight of that water. It takes that much of time. It can take it at one time, 450 liters through its trunk and take it into the belly. Which voracious eater will eat one third of his weight at a time? Can he take one third of weight of food in the plate and eat it? But elephant does it. Then the heart, coronary heart, during the lifetime will be beating for nearly 2000 million times during a lifetime, average lifetime. 2000 million times heartbeat will be there. Yet there is hardly any wear and tear. And then during the lifespan, it will pump up. It will pump. The heart pumps the blood. It will be pumping nearly 500 million liters, 50 crores of liters of blood during lifetime. If you think of filling your car, the fuel tank of your car, then if you think of filling a tank of a car with blood that heart pumps out, then every 7 minutes you will have to fill up the tank. Every 7 minutes you will have to fill up that tank, full tank of a car. The lungs contain blood vessels which have total length of 1500 miles. If you join them, it will have a length of 1500 miles, the blood vessels in the lungs. What human system digests, the acids, etc., is so enormous that in those acids, even a metal called jasta can be melted. The belly is not burnt out despite so much acidic interactions are taking place. Acidic flows are there. It is because it is the cells of the stomach are replenished at a very high pace, and therefore the stomach is renewed at a very rapid pace. Therefore there is no corrosion, there is no erosion, it is not burnt out. The human kidneys have 1 million filters. Even ultra modern microfilters will not be that small. What is the size of kidney? Look at the size of kidney, understand the size of kidney. And there are 10,000 filters in it. Every minute 1.3 liters of blood is purified. And then 1.4 liters of water, the ejectable matter is turned out and formed urine. So it's such a function taking place in kidneys. The brain needs something like 4.5 liters of blood. The whole body, human body, needs about 4.5 liters of blood for its circulation. The human body is not unicellular. There are trillions and trillions and hundreds of trillions and thousands of trillions of cells in human body. Every second, 1,020,000 cells are born. And then so many cells are dying. Nearly 80,000 cells on an average die. So our life is constituted by death of thousands of cells, about 100,000 of cells per second, and the birth of millions of cells per second. So our life is combination of birth and death. So many cells are dying, 80,000 to 100,000 cells are dying every second. And of course, about 100,000, about millions of cells are taking birth every second. This is how our life is. So, the life is really a marvel. See, every night our height grows by 0.03 inches. Many of us want to increase our height. Every night our height increases by 0.03 inches. But when we on waking up, because of gravity, our height comes back to what it is. And there is about 80% of water in our body. So certain facts are really fascinating. The carbon in our body is about 12.5 kilos. Yeah, it can produce 12.5 kilos of coal. So much of carbon is there in our body. There is about, the iron in our body is so much that it can turn out 1 inch of a nail, having weight about 30 grams. The human focusing muscles of the eyes is again enormous. These eyes nearly move about 100,000 times a day. And if you transmit this movement of the focusing muscles of the eyes into your knees, you will end up walking 50 miles per day. So much is the movement of the focusing muscles of the eyes. So there's such a fascinating information. So for the time being, we'll stop this here. We'll proceed on this topic in our next session. Namaskar, all of you.